Have you ever wondered what the last days of one of England's most famous kings were really like? Henry VIII, known for his 6 wives and dramatic changes to England, did not die peacefully. His final days were full of pain, fear, and uncertainty. In this video, we will dive deep into the terrifying last moments of Henry VIII, a king who ruled with power but ended his life in suffering. Stay with me as we uncover the truth behind his painful end and what it meant for England's future. Henry VIII was a man of extremes, a king who could be charming and cruel, loving and ruthless, strong and vulnerable. To truly understand his final days, we must first understand the man behind the crown. Born on June 28, 1491, Henry was the second son of King Henry VII and Elizabeth of York. As a child, he was well-educated, athletic, and full of promise. Yet he was not expected to become king because he had an older brother, Arthur. When Arthur died suddenly in 1502, Henry became heir to the throne. At age 17, he ascended as King of England in 1509, full of energy and hope. He was tall, handsome, and athletic, a true Renaissance prince. However, Henry's reign would be marked not only by grandeur and ambition but by deep personal struggles, ruthless decisions, and profound changes to the kingdom's religion and politics. Henry's early reign was marked by energy and enthusiasm. He was a popular king, known for his athleticism and love of tournaments, hunting, music, and grand celebrations. His court became a center for Renaissance culture, filled with poets, musicians, and artists. He was also a skilled fighter and a strong leader. He sought to strengthen England's power in Europe through war and diplomacy. But Henry was more than a warrior king. He was deeply concerned with securing his family's future. The biggest question of his reign became, would he have a son to inherit the throne? Henry's first wife was Catherine of Aragon, his brother Arthur's widow. Though she gave birth to several children, only their daughter Mary survived infancy. Henry desperately wanted a son. When Catherine failed to provide a male heir, Henry asked the Pope to annul the marriage so he could marry Anne Boleyn. When the Pope refused, Henry broke with the Catholic Church, creating the Church of England with himself as its head. This break started the English Reformation, a religious revolution that changed England forever. This move was not only personal but deeply political, sparking conflict that lasted decades. Henry's 6 marriages are among the most famous and dramatic in history. Each was shaped by politics, passion, and tragedy. Catherine of Aragon, his first wife, mother of Mary, later divorced. Anne Boleyn, his second wife, mother of Elizabeth, executed for treason. Jane Seymour, his third wife, gave birth to Edward, Henry's only legitimate son, but died soon after childbirth. Anne of Cleves, his fourth wife, marriage annulled quickly due to lack of attraction. Catherine Howard, his fifth wife, executed for adultery. Catherine Parr, his sixth wife, who cared for Henry during his last years and survived him. Each marriage reflected Henry's desire for power and legacy but brought personal pain. In 1536, Henry suffered a serious injury during a jousting tournament. Jousting was a dangerous sport where 2 knights charged at each other on horseback with long lances. Henry was thrown from his horse and injured his leg badly. The injury became infected and developed into painful ulcers, sores that would never heal properly. Without modern medicine, such wounds were deadly. Henry's leg swelled and caused him constant pain and discomfort. As the years passed, Henry's health worsened dramatically. He gained enormous weight, estimated at over 400 pounds, about 180 kilograms. His size made it hard for him to move. Obesity caused many health problems, heart disease, breathing difficulties, and poor circulation, especially in his injured leg. Modern historians think Henry likely suffered from type 2 diabetes, which explains his slow-healing wounds and general weakness. His leg ulcers worsened, causing foul odors and severe pain. Moving around was a daily struggle. Chronic pain and illness affected Henry's mind. He became moody, impatient, and sometimes violent. His mood swings were extreme, shifting from kindness to cruelty quickly. His temper frightened those around him. He became suspicious, fearing poisoning and betrayal, common worries for monarchs but especially intense in Henry's last years. His paranoia and fear isolated him emotionally as well as physically. Jane Seymour, Henry's third wife, was his favorite. She gave birth to Edward, fulfilling Henry's dream of a male heir. But Jane died shortly after childbirth in 1537. Henry grieved deeply. Her death left him lonely and broken-hearted. His sorrow deepened his suffering and withdrawal from court life. Henry's break from Rome started a religious revolution. But his children followed different faiths. Edward VI was a Protestant, pushing England further from Catholicism. Mary I, his daughter with Catherine of Aragon, was a devout Catholic and sought to restore Catholicism, leading to persecution of Protestants. Elizabeth I, Anne Boleyn's daughter, later sought a middle way, balancing religion and politics. Henry's last years were marked by tension over England's spiritual future. Henry's once strong body became weak and swollen. He spent most of his time in his chambers, ruling through advisors. He wrote his will in 1546, naming Edward as heir but setting up a council to govern until Edward came of age. He sought to secure his dynasty and kingdom despite his failing health. Henry's will was detailed. He wanted to ensure stability after his death. He asked for prayers for his soul and forgiveness for his sins. He appointed trusted nobles to protect Edward's rule. His last days were focused on the future, even as death loomed. Henry VIII died on January 28, 1547, aged 55. His death was slow and painful. His leg wounds festered, his body struggled. Those around him said he was calm in his final hours, thinking of his son and kingdom. He sought peace and forgiveness before passing. Edward VI became king at 9. England's Protestant reforms advanced rapidly. Edward died young. Mary I took the throne, restoring Catholicism with force. Elizabeth I then ruled, bringing religious peace and England's rise as a power. Henry's death started decades of religious and political upheaval. Henry's final days reveal a human story of pain and fear behind royal power. He faced vulnerability, doubt, and mortality like anyone else. His legacy is one of greatness and tragedy, strength and suffering. As Henry's health worsened, his personal life became increasingly complicated. The king who once dazzled his court with energy and charm was now often bedridden, confined to chambers where only a few trusted servants and family members could see him. One of the hardest things for Henry was losing control over his body. The proud king, who had once jousted with great skill and strength, now needed help to move even short distances. His swollen leg ulcer made walking nearly impossible, and the constant pain wore down his spirit. Chronic wounds like his caused not only physical agony but often terrible smells and infections that terrified those nearby. Despite his physical decline, Henry's mind remained sharp in many ways, though it was clouded by pain and fear. He became suspicious of people around him, worried about plots and betrayals. This fear was partly real. The Tudor court was full of rivalries and dangerous intrigues, but it also reflected Henry's growing paranoia caused by his illness. During his final years, Henry's wife Catherine Parr played a crucial role in his life. Catherine was his sixth and last wife, and unlike some of Henry's earlier marriages, hers was more peaceful and supportive. Catherine acted as Henry's nurse and companion, helping him through his pain and frustration. She encouraged him to reconcile with his daughters, Mary and Elizabeth, and promoted religious discussions, showing kindness and patience. Henry's affection for Catherine was clear. She was one of the few people allowed close to him, and she helped ease his suffering in his darkest moments. Henry VIII's failing health brought great anxiety to England's political elite. The king's illness made it clear that the throne would soon be vacant, and many nobles prepared for the uncertain future. Henry's only legitimate son, Edward, was just a boy, only 9 years old when Henry died. The thought of a child king ruling such a powerful kingdom alarmed many. A regency council was formed to rule in Edward's name, but factions within the court began to compete for influence. Religious tensions further complicated matters. Edward was a Protestant, while many nobles and citizens still favored Catholicism. Henry's daughter Mary was a devout Catholic, and Elizabeth's beliefs were more moderate. This division meant the future of England's religion was up in the air. By the mid-1540s, Henry's life had changed drastically from his youthful vigor. His days were filled with discomfort, pain, and long hours resting in bed. He was attended by physicians, some of whom tried treatments now seen as painful and ineffective, bloodletting, poultices, and even cauterization. The king's leg wound continued to fester, causing foul smells and deep infections. Because of his size and limited mobility, Henry spent much of his time propped up on pillows. He was often impatient and irritable, frustrated by his inability to participate in court life or enjoy his favorite pastimes. In these final years, Henry reportedly reflected more on his life, his reign, and his legacy. He was aware of the mistakes he had made, the broken marriages, the executions, the religious upheaval, and he sought forgiveness. Henry's religious writings during this period show a man wrestling with his faith and seeking peace. Though he had broken with Rome, he remained deeply religious and concerned about his soul. His will asked for prayers and absolution, showing his hope for redemption. The Tudor court in Henry's last days was tense and uneasy. Courtiers whispered about the king's failing health and the future of the kingdom. Many sought favor with the young Prince Edward, preparing for the power struggle to come. At the same time, Henry's paranoia made those around him nervous. Servants and advisors feared sudden outbursts and harsh punishments. Despite the fear, some moments of tenderness existed. Catherine Parr's care for Henry and occasional visits from family members who hoped to ease his suffering. Accounts from Henry's final hours describe a man worn down by pain but still aware of his responsibilities. He was surrounded by a small group of trusted people, including Catherine Parr and his closest advisors. Though weakened, Henry expressed concern for Edward's future and the welfare of England. Some sources say Henry's last words asked for forgiveness and peace, a humble end for a king once known for his pride and power. The terrifying final days of Henry VIII teach us about the human cost of power. From a young, vibrant king to a man broken by illness and fear, Henry's life ended in pain and uncertainty. His death changed England forever, starting a period of religious wars, political struggles, and new hopes. If you enjoyed this deep look into Henry VIII's last days, please subscribe to our channel for more history stories brought to life. Like this video, share it, and tell us in the comments who you want to learn about next. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.